As a fan of the Castlevania universe, it is undeniable that the entire franchise has achieved remarkable feats within the past 40 years of its run, setting it apart from other video game adaptations. Powerhouse Animation Studios, known for their exceptional work, has consistently pushed the boundaries with each new release from the Castlevania series. Back in 2017, the Netflix-released Castlevania animated series made a significant impact with its captivating storytelling and outstanding animation. It has been approximately 2.5 years since the thrilling conclusion of the original Castlevania animated series, which has of course left us yearning for more. Over the course of 4 seasons, the series reached a stunning conclusion, featuring the demise of some major characters and leaving others in entirely new situations. Season 4 of the show surely concluded with a bang, delivering shocking moments and providing satisfying endings for our beloved characters. This adaptation, drawing inspiration from the Castlevania 3 Dracula's Curse video game, is a runaway success and stands as a testament to the enduring appeal of one of the most iconic horror-inspired video game franchises. But as satisfying the ending was, it did leave us with some unanswered questions, compelling us to rack our brains on what exactly happened next. I mean, the show definitely hinted towards a happily ever after, but who does not like details? Well, in this video, our focus will be to understand what the hell happens to our favorite Belmont after the series ended. So without wasting another second, let's get right into it. Before we go into explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you, and let's begin. Who is Trevor Belmont? Well, if you still don't know the answer to this question, let me lead by saying that this guy is the epitome of being the perfect hero as far as the concept of a brave knight in shining armor goes. Like all those who came before and after him in the Belmont lineage, Trevor Belmont dedicated his life to safeguarding humanity from the malevolent supernatural forces and creatures that roam the night. The Belmonts' heroics as renowned vampire hunters is no news, but Trevor's experience, however, stands out among his predecessors in the clan. He holds the distinction of being the first Belmont and the first human to canonically defeat the infamous vampire lord Dracula, even within the gaming series. Nonetheless, Trevor Belmont has grown up to see quite a lot of trauma in his life, even if he is from a long line of monster hunters who have saved people from the forces of the night for centuries. When he was only 12, his family was excommunicated by the church on false accusations of practicing dark magic. The Belmonts lost everything because of the very same people they always tried to protect. So when we see Trevor's nonchalance, indifference, and dark humor served with a shot of cynicism during the initial season of the show, it explains a lot of how multifaceted his character really is. As the seasons progress, Trevor's impeccable skills as a monster hunter and a leader really comes out during his various adventures. After he formed the Dream Trio with Sypha and Alucard, there was no stopping him. The trio fought their opponents throughout the show in perfect sync, as if they were simply made to support one another. While Trevor shared a love-hate relationship with Alucard, often getting into stupid brawls and fighting like teenagers, it was Sypha who brought out the best in him and really understood him behind his otherwise tough exterior. After the trio united to face Dracula, the vampire lord put up quite a good fight and would have probably taken down all of them, but his conscience interfered with him, allowing his son this opportunity to put a stake through his heart, followed by which Trevor decapitated his body, leaving Sypha to burn his remains to ashes. With Dracula's reign of terror coming to a brisk end and the trio's mission accomplished, Trevor, recognizing the importance of the Belmont estate, entrusts its stewardship to Alucard, who had previously contemplated ending his own life. Sypha, however, persuades Trevor to continue their shared adventures, firmly believing that Trevor's destiny lies in the ongoing battle against evil. Soon, they bid their farewells to Alucard, embarking on a journey through Wallachia with an aim to locate the Speakers and thereafter head towards Braila to confront the remnants of Dracula's army. Season 3 of the Castlevania animated series mostly covered the devastation that the aftermath of Dracula's death brought about in all of Wallachia. Naturally, Trevor and Sypha traveled town to town, functioning as seasoned monster hunters, confronting a relentless parade of nightmarish adversaries. These foes range from night creatures and skeleton knights to warlocks, foul goblins, rogue vampires, and even humans who sympathize with death. As the series continued, it saw the introduction of additional characters from the video games, aligning themselves either with Trevor or Dracula. This led to a more intense and deadly conflict that eventually reached its climax in Season 4, where the series concluded with a proper bang. What do we already know about Trevor Belmont's ending in the Castlevania animated series? Since its debut in 2017, Castlevania has served as a brilliantly crafted homage to fans of the original video game series, and with the conclusion of Season 4, the last chapter was indeed a masterful blend of fan service, emotional depth, and unexpected twists. Each of the main trio of characters in the series receives a fitting conclusion that aligns with their individual character arcs across the 4 seasons. As the dust settles, both the characters and viewers find themselves in a deeply satisfying place, bringing a poignant closure to this epic saga. But honestly, Trevor's end was fitting and wholesome, causing it to really stand out. With the end of the show, he finds both glory as a monster hunter and, of course, love, with a sense of belongingness which he never really had before. In a startling twist during Season 4, Varney's true identity is unveiled as the embodiment of death itself, a cunning impersonator who had masqueraded as a vampire in Dracula's court for centuries. It is also revealed that Death was in fact the alchemist who had manipulated Saint Germain into opening a portal to hell and resurrecting Dracula. Now, Dracula's intentions of eradicating all life on Earth would grant Death immense power and probably make him the strongest entity on Earth. However, this potential catastrophe was thwarted when the vampire lord was killed by Trevor, Alucard, and Sypha. Now, Death requires Saint Germain's assistance to resurrect Dracula and merge his soul with that of his wife, sending them both into madness. In essence, Death's sinister aim is to exploit Dracula and Lisa's deranged state within Erebus to bring about unprecedented human devastation and reap the benefits. Well, he does coax Saint Germain into infusing Erebus with Dracula and his wife's soul, but lucky for the world that Saint Germain's conscience finally awakened and aided Trevor in slicing Erebus in half. After successfully destroying Erebus, Trevor chooses to confront Death alone, recognizing that they are essentially relics of another time and place. In their battle, Trevor displays astonishing skills and manages to land some significant blows on Death. Eventually, in the face of dire circumstances, Trevor drives a dagger obtained in Targovishte straight into Death's head, causing a cataclysmic explosion. As Death explodes, Trevor appears to be wiped from existence. 2 weeks later, when Trevor is presumed dead in the battle against Death, Alucard and his love interest Greta work on restoring the castle, aiming to turn it into a livable place. Sypha, on the other hand, plans to return to the Speakers to have her child. Yep, she was pregnant with Trevor's child, so that gives us quite an assurance in how the Belmont clan carries on. Anyways, Alucard and Greta eventually persuade Sypha to stay, as they believe she can contribute to creating a better future. While Alucard tells Sypha that they would name their new village Belmont in tribute to Trevor's great sacrifice, something incredible occurs. A horse arrives with a hooded man slung over the saddle. When Sypha and Alucard rush to the horse, they shockingly discover that the rider is none other than a beaten-up, half-dead Trevor. The monster hunter then reveals that after stabbing Death in the head, Saint Germain opened the infinite corridor with his dying strength and placed him inside, saving him from annihilation. After all that, Trevor could remember that was waking up near Danube and beginning his journey back to Sypha. When a relieved Alucard and Sypha ask him regarding how he managed to kill Death, Trevor explains that the dagger from Targovishte was once used to enact a very one-sided murder-suicide pact with God, indicating its incredible powers, which was probably used in some ancient age to wage a war with the Almighty himself. Anyways, the show ends with the trio finding the fulfillment and satisfaction they have always looked for, as Trevor and Sypha profess their love for each other. Trevor Belmont's ending in the Castlevania games. As we just discussed, the season finale of Netflix's Castlevania brings the characters to a full circle, offering them proper narrative closures. However, it is worth examining whether these conclusions align with the characters' fates in the video games. Drawing inspiration from Konami's iconic horror-themed monster hunting video game series, particularly Castlevania III Dracula's Curse, the Netflix anime presents a prequel to the first game in the series. In Dracula's Curse, legendary vampire and monster hunter Trevor Belmont joins forces with allies, including the pirate thief Grant Dynasty, the powerful witch Sypha Belnades, and the tortured Dhampir Alucard to thwart Dracula's world-devastating plans. In contrast, the final chapter of the series, Castlevania Season 4, delivers a dramatic climax before transitioning into quieter moments to grant its heroes the peace they deserve. However, while the Netflix show offers a chance for a long-awaited happy ending for these characters, their legacy in the Castlevania franchise remains haunted by the ever-encroaching darkness of Dracula's presence because the show ends with Dracula and Lisa coming back to life in Wallachia while deciding to hide the news of their resurrection from the world. Castlevania Dracula's Curse, as the third game in the series and a prequel, actually unfolds its events before Dracula's resurrection in the very first game, where Trevor Belmont emerges as the first Belmont to confront Dracula after the Dark Lord has solidified his malevolent reputation, and he doesn't undertake this task alone. Throughout the game, Trevor can choose one of 3 allies to accompany him, and the narrative ending diverges depending on this choice. Among Alucard, Grant, and Sypha, Sypha's ending is generally regarded as the game's canonical conclusion. After defeating Dracula in Castlevania 3, Trevor and Sypha retire from their heroic duties and wed in secret. However, their peaceful post-marital life is short-lived as Trevor is compelled to return to action in the game Castlevania Curse of Darkness. There, he investigates a sinister sickness that plagues Wallachia. It is revealed that this affliction is engineered by a Dracula-worshipping cult led by the Devil Forge Master Isaac. Within this game, Trevor must join forces with Hector, the player character in Curse of Darkness, to halt Isaac's nefarious plans. After aiding Hector in defeating Isaac and thwarting his access to the Infinite Corridor, Trevor once again reunites with his wife and the couple starts a family. This marks the beginning of a bloodline that leads to the renowned vampire hunter Simon Belmont, the protagonist of the original Castlevania video game. Now, on a contrasting note, let's take a step outside the main canon and take a gander in the Lords of Shadow timeline, which really simplifies the Belmont lineage in the otherwise convoluted timeline in the main games. Here, Gabriel Belmont goes on to become Dracula in search of finding a means to resurrect his dead wife Marie. Before turning into Dracula, Gabriel and Marie had a son named Trevor, who later goes on to fight his malevolent father to exact revenge for the death of his mother and deliver the world from his father's evil hands. Now, this Dracula did not know he had a son in the first place, so he goes on to kill his son, who blurts out the truth before taking his dying breath. A distraught Dracula then goes on to preserve his son's body and renames him as Alucard, signifying that Trevor stood for the very opposite of what his evil father did. Now, Trevor had a son named Simon Belmont in this timeline who later comes to finish what his father had started eons ago. Later, Alucard wakes up from his decade-long slumber and both father and son team up to vanquish Dracula's reign of terror for good. What presumably happened to Trevor Belmont after the Netflix TV series ended? Now, of course, there are no hints within the show because it ended with Trevor finally settling down with Sypha and starting a family, but if we refer to the games, we can probably insinuate what went down in Trevor's life after the series ended. Now, if we take a look at the Castlevania games in the main continuity, it is very much possible that Trevor and Sypha get married and have their child, who is probably Frederick Belmont. With Dracula being resurrected by the end of the series, we can assume that Trevor had to face him at some point, but even though the gaming lore never materializes on Dracula's resurrection led by Isaac coming to fruition, we will simply go out on a limb to assume a duel between the 2 strongest characters in the franchise. With a new spin-off series documenting the adventures of Richter Belmont on Castlevania Nocturne, one thing is for sure that the Belmont clan lives on whilst carrying its rich legacy. Plus, it is revealed that Juste Belmont is Richter's grandfather. In the original timeline, the Belmont family lineage unfolds with Richter as the son of Juste Belmont, who is the grandson of Simon Belmont, the protagonist of a Castlevania game. Simon, in turn, is the great-grandson of Christopher Belmont, though it remains uncertain whether this lineage passes through Soleil or Gerhard Belmont. Now, Christopher, as the son of Frederick Belmont, is also the offspring of Trevor Belmont and Sypha Belnades. Consequently, Richter's placement as the 9th-generation descendant of Trevor perfectly aligns with the time frame of Castlevania Nocturne, thus connecting the events that we did not see on screen and presumably leading to Richter Belmont's adventures in the recently released spin-off series. But if we draw inspiration from the Lords of Shadow continuity, Trevor and Sypha probably had a son named Simon before he went on to face a resurrected Dracula. Given that we already have an Alucard in the picture, Trevor's transformation into another Alucard seems bizarre and bleak. Even if he meets his end while trying to kill the Dark Vampire Lord, there is always another Belmont in line, quaking for revenge and ready with a whip to take down Dracula. Anyways, it should be noted that none of these theories per se are set in stone. They're simply our take on what could have been the scenario if the studio had decided to follow a continuity along Castlevania's timeline. Marvelous verdict. Although Trevor received a cathartically beautiful ending, the show and its characters were simply so amazing that even now we're always prying to get more. But curiosities certainly have no bounds, so what do you guys think happened to Trevor Belmont after the series ended? Please let us know in the comment box below. If you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.